On to item number 11 then, please, which is South Yorkshire Airport City, full business case, and that will be presented by Gareth. The paper highlights the work that has taken place on South Yorkshire Airport City and identifies the next steps to continue that process. Over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. The board will recall that since 2022 and the closure of the airport, this authority, along with colleagues in Doncaster, along with other stakeholders across the region and the country, have worked to re-establish aviation at Doncaster Sheffield Airport. Of late, that has coalesced around the concept for South Yorkshire Airport City, a reopened airport providing the anchor for a sustainable aviation hub at Gateway East, putting Doncaster and the region at the forefront of the next industrial revolution, building on sectoral strengths across the region and recognising the location already of notable businesses within this region, such as Rolls-Royce, Boeing, McLaren and hybrid air vehicles. So over the calendar year, there has been a twin-track approach to progressing activity. That's largely focused on the preparation of a business case, which, if approved, could release gain share funding to support the proposition, and the undertaking of a comprehensive procurement exercise that was designed to return a credible operator to run the airport along with private investment. So the full business case is now largely completed and has been received by the MCA. There are still a number of pieces to be worked upon, but we have subjected what we have received to our assurance processes. The procurement process itself is almost complete as well, subject to a number of issues that are still requiring conclusion. However, that procurement process has returned a preferred bidder partnered with a credible international airport operator. The full business case identifies the significant opportunity for the region through this project. The business case describes 5,000 direct jobs that could potentially be achieved, 6,500 indirect jobs, gross value added uplift for the region of 6.6 billion and a benefit cost ratio of 9.1. This underscores the really quite significant opportunity that is on the table through this project. The project has the potential to have a transformative impact, not just on Doncaster, but across the rest of the region, and provide catalytic opportunity through its coalescing with the investment zone, of which Gateway East is an opportunity site. The business case, however, does highlight the significant risks involved in this project. Some of these are well known and were outlined at the outline business case stage, relate to issues such as patronage, and commercial growth, recapturing the market share of the airport. Some, however, relate to the emerging shape of the commercial deal that is still to be concluded, and this reflects the likelihood that greater public investment will be required over that initially envisaged. That public investment will be required to facilitate the creation of market conditions to allow for further private investment into the future. The level of investment required probably requires a greater level of public control than initially envisaged. And that is to ensure that we have the right level of control to protect the investment, making sure that we have all the tools in the toolbox required to look after the use of public funding. This control and investment is likely to require colleagues in Doncaster to submit to the Subsidy Advice Unit the proposed levels of public support. So this report proposes a number of issues. We propose to afford more time to Doncaster to conclude the commercial negotiations, to strike the right deal and protect the level of public investment that is likely required. We also ask the board to endorse the submission by Doncaster to the Subsidy Advice Unit. And further, we ask the board to approve an award of £3 million of further grant for necessary activity that is required to facilitate necessary infrastructure investment and to support accreditation with the Civil Aviation Authority. Now, all this is required to keep us on a critical path that could see the potential reopening of the airport and commercial flights by spring 2026. This will further allow us to revert to the board in January 2025 once the receipt of the Subsidy Advice Unit is received and the business case has been completed, representing and reflecting the final commercial negotiations. So I'm happy to propose this to the board, Mayor, and take any questions.
Would anyone like to make any comments? Ross, can I bring you in?
Yes, of course. I'm delighted that we're one stage further and we've got the potential of spring 26 to see commercial flights going from there. Of course, we'll have to ensure that we comply with government regulations, but I'm delighted to see that we can see the start of the catalyst for the great economic growth an airport will bring, not only to Doncaster, but to the region as a whole and wider.
Anybody else like to make any comments? Yes, please, Karen.
Caroline Makers. I'd like to echo the things that were said by Gareth in the report about the growth, the capacity for growth that this brings to the region. And I'd like to fully support the recommendations in the report. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the officers that have been working so hard behind the scenes. I think it's clear that I remain fully committed to reopening DSA and creating a world-leading sustainable aviation hub at Gateway East, and that's always been the case. But I do want to speak directly, I think, to those people who've been campaigning so diligently and so hard for the reopening of DSA. And there are some people in that campaign I know who have always wanted to do a deal at any cost. And frankly, that is not, I think, where we are. That has never been the sensible approach, because actually the sensible approach is to do this deal properly and do the deal absolutely as quickly as we can, but to make sure that we're getting that deal right, to give DSA the best possible future, the most sustainable future going forward, and the biggest and best chance to succeed. And that is where we all want to be, I know. And that is about both giving Doncaster and South Yorkshire our airport back. That is about protecting the future of DSA. That is about creating that world-leading sustainable aviation hub at Gateway East. And it is also about protecting taxpayers' money, taxpayers across South Yorkshire. So all of those things are equally as important. And I think we all recognise that. And that's why this deal is so important, and why we're taking our time to get it right, absolutely and fundamentally. So I'm grateful for the report and the work that's gone into it. Is everybody agreed that we take this forward? Let me just read out the recommendations. One, please, that we note the significant strategic and economic opportunity offered by the South Yorkshire Airport City proposal. Two, approve the award to CDC of additional development funding of up to £3 million from existing earmarked resources to progress time-critical reinstatement activity and to continue commercial negotiations. Number three, endorse the submission by CDC to the Subsidy Advice Unit of a referral noting the potential need for public subsidy of circa £105 million. Four, note the intent of CDC to continue commercial negotiations with the aim of bringing a final report to the board following the conclusion of that negotiation and the receipt of advice from the Subsidy Advice Unit in January 2025. Are we all agreed? Wonderful, perfect, thank you.